Hey everybody, this is Adam McClain. I'm here with Mark Riddle. He's the author of this book, Inside the Mind of Youth Pastors. Is that backwards? Kind of looks backwards. Anyways, hi Mark, how's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, we're going to jump right into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you so that we kind of get to know you? I know that you're a lead pastor, and that's not going to get street cred with our youth ministry audience, so tell us a little bit about your youth ministry credential.
Yeah, sure. I did youth ministry for about 15 years in a variety of sizes of churches, small, medium, large. I've worked in teams and this kind of stuff. My story is that I've been doing youth ministry. I have a heart for youth pastors. I have a heart to see youth pastors be successful, and found that a lot of the times when I was working with, leading seminars or going to a lot of conventions, there was a lot of conventions that were talking about a lot of things that when the youth pastor goes home to try to implement, they weren't going to be able to do it.
Right.
Because there wasn't an understanding or a culture that embraced youth ministry or understood youth ministry in a healthy way. And so I wrote a book to help make that happen. And I started a consulting firm actually before that to help churches understand youth ministry better so that youth pastors and youth ministries can be more successful.
Okay. Now, I hate to be too obvious, but your book is is getting inside the mind of youth pastors. How did you get inside of our minds? And I was reading this book, and I was like, how did you get there? Did you make a deal with, like, the devil, like in Crossroads? Was there this meeting? How did you get there in my mind?
Yeah, well, I was tricked. I was the devil, was introduced at the Crossroads, but I did not get any killer guitar skills, unfortunately. But I spend a lot of time working with youth pastors, actually, is how it came about.
Okay.
And spent a lot of time listening and hearing stories and starting to see a lot of patterns of what was said. But the tricky thing about writing a book called Inside the Mind of Youth Pastors is that I did not want to speak for all youth pastors in all settings. So that's why the flavor of the book, they talk about a youth pastor wants to be mentored, or a youth pastor wants a senior pastor to have their back. But every single chapter that talks like that has a discussion guide in there so that every youth pastor can speak for themselves. So maybe the book's more of a conversation starter for youth pastors.
Okay.
To actually tell what's in their mind.
Now, in the first chapter, or I think it's the first chapter of the book, you give like a lot of reasons why churches shouldn't hire a youth pastor. And really my question is, I got a lot of my jobs in youth ministry based on those, what you call false questions. What's so wrong with those questions?
The wrong question, it's the wrong question because it starts in the wrong place.
Okay.
The wrong question isn't how do I keep a youth pastor, or the wrong question starts with staff.
Okay.
Staff don't make great youth ministries. Churches make great youth ministries. And instead of asking from a leadership perspective, how do we keep a great staff person around or find the right staff person to do something for us, it has to start with how can we as a church embody great youth ministry? And once we do that, then let's hire someone to come in.
Okay.
So it's helping church leaders start in a different place.
Okay. Now, when I'm reading this, I'm thinking like I'm in a church, right? And I'm thinking if I'm a senior leader, I'm reading this, and I might be realizing that I have the wrong youth pastor. What do we do with that? What advice do you give to senior leaders and youth pastors who are reading this going, I think I'm in the wrong situation?
Wow. Well, that's kind of a general question there, Adam. The thing is that if I were to say what the job description of a youth pastor was based on the understandings I write in this book, it is to be who they were created to be.
Okay.
It is for them to be do what they're good at and use their gifts. Beyond that, it depends on the church. And most churches expect youth pastors to do what they're good at, but then also do all these other things that they're not good at. And it ends up that the criticism for most youth pastors doesn't come from what they're good at, but for where they're deficient. And so this is a way of saying the church should own it all, hire a youth pastor to do the things they're good at.
Okay. All right, so let's flip the script a little bit, okay? I'm a youth pastor. What are some things that are inside the mind of a senior pastor that I should be looking for, like in the whole interview process when I'm trying to figure out, do I even want to be a part of this church or not? You know what I'm saying? Because you got a whole book about inside my mind. I want to get inside your mind.
Yeah. How about that? Well, senior pastors have. Wow, what a great question. I think senior pastors want. They have a lot of things that they're trying to keep in the air. A lot of balls, a lot of plates spinning, and they have a real concern that things are going to get out of control, and that there's going to be somebody or something that's going to come around and hurt them in some capacity, personally, or in what they're hoping they'll see happen. And so a lot of senior pastor leadership revolves, for better or for worse, around kind of risk management and keeping those kind of things. If a youth pastor can understand that this is the heart of a senior pastor and say, and this is where a lot of loyalty comes from, a lot of conversations about loyalty for senior pastors. If a youth pastor can somehow help in everything they do, help a senior pastor understand that you are for them and you are wanting to help them be successful, and the way that you're wanting to do that is through having a great youth ministry, that's a really helpful thing to understand about senior pastors, I think.
Okay. Other than selling like a Rick Warren quantity of books, what's your hope for this book?
Oh, wow. After doing youth ministry for 15 years and leading a community here in town, and a small little kind of fragile community, I should say.
Okay.
My hope for the book is that it will start conversations among the leadership of churches. Marco's got a great book about Youth Ministry 3.0. To me, this is helping senior leadership, executive pastors, senior pastors, elders, parents, start to have a conversation about why they have a youth ministry, whose responsibility it is to have youth ministry, and it's a moving in that direction. I wrote a staffing book, not because I love staffing and dream about staffing, I hate staffing stuff. I hate it. But this is where the conversation had to start.
Right.
Because this is the way church leaders think about leadership. So my hope is that it will help steer us into a new kind of youth ministry.
Okay, awesome. Now here's my biggest problem with the book. I read the thing, and I'm thinking, if I let senior pastors inside my mind, how will I frustrate them now? So what do you think? What are some ways that, if they know how I think, that youth pastors are going to be able to frustrate them in like a youth ministry 3.0 kind of way? What are some new frustration points if they know my mind?
Some new frustration points for them are going to be, I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm looking forward to the viewers of this in the future telling me what those are.
Okay, cool. Everybody, the book, Inside the Mind of Youth Pastors, Inside the Mind of Youth Pastors, it's available wherever books are sold, right? Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Christian bookstores, youthspecialties.com. Check it out. Mark Riddle, thank you so much for your time.